Stop wishing, start demanding results. There is a moment deep in the heart of every man and woman when wishing feels like enough. When dreaming about a better future feels almost the same as building it. We sit back, eyes closed, imagining the wealth, the freedom, the legacy, and for a fleeting second, the mind tricks us into believing that the picture itself is progress. But the truth is cold. The truth is ruthless. And the truth does not care about how vividly you can wish. The universe doesn't pay you for intentions. It pays you for outcomes. And until the day you stop standing on the sidelines of your own life, clutching empty hopes like a child clutching sand, nothing, absolutely nothing, will change. Wishing is the language of the powerless. Demanding is the language of the creator. And every man or woman who has carved their name into the stone of history did not beg for results, they demanded them from themselves and the world. Think of Thomas Edison, a man who failed over 10,000 times before a single light bulb ever burned. Do you think he wished for light? Or did he demand that light obey his will? Think of Henry Ford, laughed at by investors, mocked by engineers, told that a car for the masses was a fantasy. He didn't wish for an assembly line. He built it. Think of Abraham Lincoln, a man who faced defeat after defeat, who buried children, who lost elections, who was ridiculed by enemies and betrayed by friends. He didn't wish for freedom for his people. He demanded it even if it cost him everything. This is the difference. This is the separation line between those who dream and those who manifest. Stop saying, "I hope things get better." Start saying, "I will make them better." Stop whispering, "I wish I could." Start roaring, "I must and I will." Because the truth is, the moment you stop negotiating with your excuses, the moment you refuse to accept mediocrity as an option, the moment you turn your desire into a non-negotiable command, your entire life begins to shift. Understand this: wishing keeps you asleep. It lulls you into the comforting illusion that thinking about success is the same as pursuing it. But demanding results? That wakes you up. It sets your nerves on fire. It makes you uncomfortable. It makes you bleed. And in that struggle, that sacred friction, the person you were meant to be begins to emerge. And that's the part most people run from. Because demanding results means you must hold yourself accountable. It means that if the outcome doesn't happen, there's no one left to blame but the face in the mirror. But that's exactly why the great ones rise. They want that weight. They welcome the burden. They say, "If it's to be, it's up to me." The foundation of this transformation begins not in your hands, but in your mind. Because before you ever demand anything from the world, you must demand something far more powerful, a new standard of thought. Belief is the birthplace of every empire. What you think, you become. What you accept as possible, you pursue. And what you demand from yourself, you eventually achieve. Most people sabotage themselves before they ever begin, because they let their belief system remain a fragile thing, built on doubt, poisoned by fear, weakened by opinions. But the ones who change the world? They forge belief into iron. They do not hope that success will show up. They expect it. They do not wait for opportunity. They create it. They do not ask life politely for their dream. They command it like a general commands his army. This is not arrogance. This is alignment with the very laws of reality. Because life is not a lottery, it's a ledger. It records what you demand through consistent, disciplined, relentless action. Do you want more clarity? Then demand focus, strip away distractions like a warrior sharpening his blade. Do you want more wealth? Then demand value, solve bigger problems, serve more people, become irreplaceable. Do you want more freedom? Then demand discipline, control your habits, master your time, build systems that set you free. Because the truth is, wishing and wanting have never created anything. Action has. Walt Disney was fired from his first newspaper job for lacking imagination. If he had listened, if he had wished someone else would recognize his talent, the world would never have seen Mickey Mouse. Andrew Carnegie came to America a penniless immigrant. He didn't wish for wealth, he demanded it through tireless learning, relentless focus, and ruthless execution. Even Edison, mocked for his repeated failures, famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That is the language of demand. The question is, what language are you speaking to yourself? Are you still whispering the words of a dreamer, hoping that maybe, someday, things will change? Or are you commanding your reality with the voice of a creator, deciding that someday is today, and maybe is inevitable? Because make no mistake, your life will rise or fall to the level of your expectations. And expectations are not passive. They are forged in the furnace of discipline, sharpened in the fire of purpose, and sustained by the relentless pounding of consistent action. So stop saying, "I wish I was successful." Start saying, "I am building success." Stop saying, "I hope I can change." Start saying, "I will change, no matter what." The universe does not respond to passivity. It bends for conviction. Greatness is not about talent. It's not about luck. It's not even about timing. It's about refusal, a stubborn, unbreakable refusal to accept anything less than the life you are capable of living. And that refusal must become your standard. It must burn in your chest like oxygen. It must guide every choice, every habit, every thought. Because once you make that internal shift, once you stop wishing and start demanding, the very fabric of your life begins to obey you. Doors you once thought were locked will swing open. People who once ignored you will take notice. Opportunities that once seemed impossible will appear inevitable. Not because the world changed, but because you did. But demanding results from the world begins with something far more difficult, demanding results from yourself. It's easy to set standards for others. It's easy to blame the economy, the competition, the market, or the people around you. It's easy to say, "I would be successful if only the conditions were better." But the truth is, the battlefield is not out there. It's in here, in your mind, your discipline, your habits, your daily decisions. This is where most people falter. They demand everything from the world, money, recognition, respect, yet they demand almost nothing from themselves. They demand wealth, but they sleep through their mornings. They demand growth, but they avoid the discomfort of learning. They demand opportunity, but they never prepare for it. And life does not negotiate with hypocrisy. You cannot fool the laws of cause and effect. You cannot trick the universe into giving you rewards you have not earned. The world will not pay you for intentions, only for execution. So if you truly want results, start by raising the standard on the man or woman in the mirror. Demand more focus than you think you're capable of. Demand more consistency than you feel comfortable with. Demand more courage than you believe you have. Because the day you start holding yourself accountable is the day the world starts taking you seriously. Let me tell you a story, not of a billionaire or a president, but of a man who understood this truth better than most. His name was Frederick Douglass. Born into slavery, denied education, stripped of dignity, Douglass could have spent his life wishing for freedom. He could have prayed for it, dreamed of it, hoped that someone else would deliver it to him. But he didn't. He demanded it. He demanded the right to learn to read, secretly teaching himself with scraps of newspapers and the kindness of strangers. He demanded the right to speak, eventually becoming one of the most powerful orators in American history. And he demanded the right to freedom, not through passive hope, but through relentless, dangerous, defiant action. His life was a living testament to a simple, eternal law: results are not given. They are claimed. And that law applies to you just as much as it applied to him. Now, here's the part no one wants to hear: demanding results requires sacrifice. It means trading comfort for growth. It means trading excuses for accountability. It means trading someday for today. And yes, it means pain, the pain of early mornings, the pain of rejection, the pain of discipline, the pain of showing up day after day when no one applauds. But that pain is not your enemy. That pain is your proof, the evidence that you are doing what 95% of people are too afraid to do. It's the toll you pay on the road to greatness. And every legend, every giant, every empire builder has paid it willingly. Do you think Steve Jobs built Apple by wishing the world would love his ideas? No, he demanded perfection, demanded innovation, demanded brilliance not just from his team, but from himself. Do you think Elon Musk risked everything for Tesla and SpaceX because he hoped they would work? No, he burned his ships, backed himself into a corner, and demanded that failure not be an option. That is the mindset you must adopt. Refuse to leave the field without victory. This is the part where belief becomes action. Because belief without execution is just daydreaming, and daydreaming has never built a legacy. Every day you wake up, you have two choices: to stay in the realm of wishful thinking, or to step into the arena and do the work. And make no mistake, this is a daily decision. The world does not care what you did yesterday. It does not care how inspired you felt last week. All that matters is what you do today. Did you show up when you didn't feel like it? Did you study when no one was watching? Did you make the call, take the risk, push the boundary, execute the plan? Because each of those decisions, repeated thousands of times, compounds into destiny. And destiny is nothing more than disciplined action over time. This is how fortunes are built. This is how empires rise. This is how ordinary men and women become immortal. Look at Andrew Carnegie. As a poor Scottish boy working 12-hour shifts in a textile factory, he didn't just dream of wealth. He studied wealth. He read every book he could get his hands on. He sought mentors. He invested his meager wages. He reinvested every dollar. And brick by brick, he built an empire of steel. Look at Oprah Winfrey. She wasn't born into opportunity, she was born into poverty and pain. But she demanded a future bigger than her circumstances. She sharpened her voice. She honed her craft. She showed up on local TV stations when no one knew her name. And through relentless execution, she became one of the most influential women on earth. What do they all have in common? Not luck. Not privilege. Not even talent. They all shared the same unshakable standard: results or nothing. And that must become your standard too. From this day forward, erase the word wish from your vocabulary. Replace it with must. Replace it with will. Replace it with demand. I wish I could get in shape. I will master my health. I wish I could start a business. I will create something unstoppable. I wish I could change my life. I will change my life, no matter what it takes. When you speak this way, something inside you changes. Your posture shifts. Your energy sharpens. Your brain begins to search for solutions instead of excuses. And then, the world responds. Because the universe does not conspire to help the wishful, it conspires to help the determined. Clarity, that is the next frontier of demanding results. Because even the most relentless energy in the world is wasted if it's scattered in every direction. A river with no banks becomes a swamp. Power with no target becomes chaos. And so it is with your life. You see, most people fail not because they lack desire, but because they lack direction. They wish for success, but they cannot define it. They want change, but they don't know what they're trying to change. They chase everything, and in doing so, they catch nothing. But those who demand results, truly demand them, know exactly what they're after. Their vision is carved into their bones. Their purpose is crystal clear. Their destination is so vivid in their mind that they can describe it in painful detail. Walt Disney used to walk around a bare patch of swampland in Florida, pointing into the empty air and describing the rides, the music, the laughter long before Disneyland existed. People thought he was mad. But in his mind, it was already real. Nikola Tesla visualized entire machines in his imagination before he ever touched a single tool. He didn't hope for innovation. He saw it, felt it, believed it, and then he demanded reality match the picture in his mind. That is the level of clarity you must pursue. Write it down. Speak it aloud. Obsess over it. Sculpt it until you can see it in your sleep. Because clarity turns your actions into weapons. It takes all that ambition boiling inside you and channels it into one focused, unstoppable direction. Without it, you're a wanderer. With it, you're a weapon. But clarity alone is not enough. It must be anchored to something deeper, a purpose that sets your soul on fire. Because there will be days when results feel distant, when progress feels invisible, when the weight of the journey feels unbearable. And in those moments, only purpose will keep you moving. Purpose is what carried Martin Luther King Jr. through the death threats, the arrests, the nights of fear. Purpose is what kept Nelson Mandela alive in a prison cell for 27 years, not hatred, not bitterness, but a purpose larger than himself. Purpose is what made Helen Keller, deaf, blind, and voiceless, become a beacon of education and courage to millions. Purpose turns pain into fuel. Purpose turns setbacks into stepping stones. Purpose makes impossible a challenge, not a conclusion. So if you truly want to demand results, ask yourself not just what you want, but why you want it. Why do you wake up every morning? Why does this goal matter more than your comfort? Why are you willing to suffer for it? Because if your why is powerful enough, the how will reveal itself. And then comes the most misunderstood part of the entire process, discipline. Most people treat discipline like a punishment. They see it as restriction, as suffering, as a burden. But discipline is not a cage, it is the key. It is the bridge between intentions and outcomes, between potential and reality. Discipline is what builds the muscles when motivation runs dry. Discipline is what writes the book after the inspiration fades. Discipline is what gets you out of bed when the comfort of the pillow whispers lies in your ear. When Napoleon Hill wrote Think and Grow Rich, he didn't say wish and grow rich. He said think with purpose, with focus, with intent, and then act with unwavering discipline. Because discipline is the language the universe respects. It does not respond to fleeting motivation. It does not bend for good intentions. But it bows before consistency. Think about Michael Phelps, the most decorated Olympian in history. He trained 365 days a year for over a decade. No breaks. No excuses. No, I don't feel like it. Just relentless, methodical, precise discipline. Or think of J.K. Rowling, rejected by dozens of publishers, broke, writing in cafes while her baby slept beside her. She didn't wish her story would succeed. She wrote it, rewrote it, and wrote it again with discipline sharper than any doubt. If you want extraordinary results, your discipline must become extraordinary. But here's a truth most people don't want to face: discipline isn't about how much you do. It's about how consistently you do it. Small actions, repeated daily, will always defeat massive bursts of effort followed by nothing. A single workout won't transform your body, but 300 days of training will. One day of reading won't make you wise, but 365 days of learning will. 1 hour of focused work won't build an empire, but 10,000 hours will. And this is where most people quit. They demand results in days for what takes years. They plant seeds and curse the soil for not blooming overnight. But the masters, the ones who build legacies, understand that demanding results means being patient with the process but impatient with themselves. They do not rush outcomes. They rush effort. They say, if it takes 10 years, then I will give 10 years. If it takes a lifetime, then I will give a lifetime. Because demanding results is not about quick wins, it's about inevitable victories. And once discipline becomes your habit, momentum becomes your ally. Momentum is one of the most powerful forces in the universe. It's why a small stream can carve a canyon. It's why a rolling snowball becomes an avalanche. It's why one small step, repeated 1,000 times, can move mountains. The problem is most people never build momentum because they never stay consistent long enough for the compound effect to kick in. They sprint for a week, collapse for a month, and then wonder why nothing changes. But the ones who demand results? They understand that success is not built in leaps, it's built in inches. It's the daily discipline that stacks on itself, growing more powerful with every repetition. And when momentum is on your side, the impossible starts to look inevitable. Doors that were once locked start to creak open. People who once ignored you start asking for your time. Goals that once seemed distant begin chasing you. That is the magic of momentum, and it belongs only to those who refuse to stop. Do not underestimate the power of a single small victory. It might be waking up early. It might be finishing a workout. It might be reading 10 pages of a book. Because each small win sends a signal to your subconscious, we are no longer wishing. We are doing. We are becoming. And once that identity shift happens, once your actions prove to yourself that you are a creator, not a dreamer, everything changes. You start showing up differently. You start thinking differently. You start being different. And the world, like a mirror, reflects the difference back to you. But even with clarity, purpose, discipline, and momentum, there will come a moment when everything feels like it's falling apart. A moment when life hits you with a force so brutal, so unexpected, that it knocks the wind from your lungs. A moment when all the plans you so carefully built begin to crumble, when the path you were so sure of disappears beneath your feet. This is the crucible. The point where the majority of people turn back. The moment where wishing people quit and demanding people rise. Because if there is one thing that separates the extraordinary from the ordinary, it is resilience. Resilience is the strength to keep swinging when the punches don't stop coming. It's the courage to stand back up when the world has knocked you to your knees. It's the voice in your soul that whispers, "This is not the end," even when everything around you is screaming, "It's over." Abraham Lincoln lost election after election before he became president. Thomas Edison was called a fool thousands of times before he gave the world light. Colonel Sanders was rejected over 1,000 times before anyone tasted his fried chicken recipe. These people didn't have easier paths. They had stronger resolve. The truth is, adversity is not a sign that you're failing, it's a test to see if you're worthy of what you're pursuing. It's life's way of asking, how badly do you want this? And when you answer with relentless action, when you push forward with blood on your knuckles and fire in your eyes, adversity transforms from obstacle to ally. Every setback becomes a lesson. Every rejection becomes redirection. Every failure becomes fuel. But to survive the storm, you must master another vital skill, adaptability. Life will not unfold according to your script. Circumstances will change. Markets will shift. People will betray you. Plans will fall apart. And if you cling too tightly to how things should be, you will break. But those who demand results are not rigid, they are fluid. Like water, they find a way through any obstacle. Like a tree, they bend in the wind but never snap. Look at Charles Darwin's timeless observation: it is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent. It is the one most adaptable to change. This principle doesn't just apply to nature, it applies to life, business, relationships, success itself. When Steve Jobs returned to Apple in 1997, the company was weeks away from bankruptcy. He could have clung to the old models. He could have insisted on the past. Instead, he adapted, pivoting the company toward simplicity, design, and innovation, and transformed Apple into one of the most valuable companies in history. Adaptability isn't about giving up on your vision. It's about being flexible with the path that leads you there. The destination remains non-negotiable, but the route is always negotiable. When you embrace this truth, failure loses its sting. Because failure is no longer final, it's feedback. It's information. It's the universe showing you a better way forward. And as you grow stronger, more resilient, more adaptable, there's one final ingredient that elevates your power beyond anything else: gratitude. At first, gratitude might seem like a contradiction. What does being thankful have to do with demanding results? Isn't gratitude about acceptance? Isn't demanding about hunger? But here's the paradox: gratitude doesn't dull your hunger, it sharpens it. When you practice gratitude, you stop operating from scarcity and start operating from abundance. You stop chasing success out of desperation and start building it from a place of strength. You stop saying, "I need more," and start saying, "I will build more, because I can." Gratitude turns the pursuit of results into a celebration, not a chore. It keeps you grounded when you succeed and hopeful when you fail. It allows you to enjoy the journey instead of resenting it. Carnegie once said, "No man will make a great leader who wants to do it all himself or get all the credit for doing it." Gratitude is what keeps you humble enough to learn, hungry enough to grow, and wise enough to recognize that every step forward, no matter how small, is a gift worth honoring. Now, as you stand here, in the middle of your story, not at the end of it, there is one final truth you must understand: demanding results is not a one-time decision. It is a lifestyle. It's not a spark. It's a fire you must feed every single day. It's not a burst of motivation. It's a code you must live by. It's not about one victory. It's about becoming the kind of person for whom victory is inevitable. And when that becomes your identity, when every fiber of your being is committed to demanding more of yourself, more of your time, more of your potential, you stop asking life for permission. You stop hoping for miracles. You stop waiting for the right moment. You become the moment. You become the force that bends reality. You become the storm that shapes destiny. You become the architect of results so inevitable that the world has no choice but to follow your command. Remember this: the world belongs to those who demand it. It belongs to the Edisons who refuse to accept darkness. It belongs to the Lincolns who refuse to accept division. It belongs to the Disneys who refuse to accept impossible. It belongs to the Musks who refuse to accept limitations. It belongs to the Mandelas who refuse to accept injustice. And it can belong to you if you refuse to accept anything less than the life you were created to live. So stop wishing. Stop waiting. Stop hoping. Stand up. Clench your fists. Look at the life you desire and say, "This is mine." Not because it was given. Not because I wished for it. But because I demanded it and I refused to stop until I built it. Because in the end, greatness is not a gift. It is not luck. It is not destiny. It is the inevitable consequence of a soul that will not quit. The future does not belong to the wishful. It belongs to the relentless. And if you choose, today, right now, to stop wishing and start demanding, then there is no power on earth that can stop you from becoming everything you were meant to be.